In the Instagram app, one of the most engaging feature is follow or unfollow someone. I'm calling it engaging because if you look at the scenario, if someone follow us in the Instagram, the first question that sparks in our head is that why did he or she follow me? Does he or she likes me or likes my content that I upload? At least what is that thing that make him or her to follow me, right? That might be some weird question in our head. That's why I'm calling it engaging. It's kind of like on some way they engage us or take our focus towards the platform Instagram, or that can be Twitter, LinkedIn or Facebook. So we are going to implement this feature, but that will be at very basic level. In here, the basics means that the platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and LinkedIn, they are not controlling their data on one single server. They have many shared servers in which they distribute their data and make decisions on that data. So what kind of decision we can take on the data? We can take a lot of different decisions, and one example of that will be if you imagine the scenario in the Twitter. If we make a tweet in the Twitter and we have some followers also in the Twitter, so if we make a tweet, that tweet will be uploaded in the timeline of our followers and they will be notified. If there are some active followers, they will comes in and will see our post. If they react on that or comment on that, so that post or tweet will be also uploaded on their followers timeline, and if they come, they will see on their timeline that one of the user you are following has react or comment on that post. So if they comment again on that, so that post will again be show up on their followers. So that's kind of like a chain or social graph they have made, and that required very great system which the platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter or LinkedIn has made, and they done that work in milliseconds, which makes these platforms more available, scalable and makes us engage with these platforms. And for that availability, they use some in-memory database to cache the data in some database and load it as quick as possible for good user experience and also availability. And these in-memory database might be like Redis, SQLite, InfinityDB, Apache Ignite, etc. And in our Instagram app, we will implement only the very basic level of this. We are not going to share any data in somewhere, but we will implement a simple basic scenario or the feature of that follow or unfollow the users. So now let's see what we have done in the previous video. In the previous video, we implement the things. Let's open up the emulator and here make this in center. And what we have done in here, we have loaded our post in the user profile or our user profile, and we can go to the post detail page like this, and this will work here the same, like we can like the post, unlike the post, and can also go to the comments page and can make comment here like okay and post it, and this will work the same. We can like the comment, we can unlike the comment, we can reply like GY upload post it, and that's work the same. I can like the reply, unlike the reply and delete the reply, and also can delete the comment. So this work the same also in the detail post page. And we also load our post in the search page. There will be all the posts of the user and we can search for the user. Like if I type A, go to his profile, go to his post, like his post, or go to the comments and do something in here. And also in the home page, we also can go to the user profile from here. And now what we are going to do is to implement the feature of follow or unfollow the user at very basic level. But before this, let me tell you one more thing. In the search page, if you look at, we have provided the user Cubit, and then we done our work in the search main widget and we call the user Cubit to get the users in here. But it's not necessary to provide the user Cubit. That's because if you look at and open up the Flutter inspector, that's the Flutter inspector in the Android Studio, and you can see the widget tree in here. First we have the roots and the my app in here, which is our stateless class. And while launching the app, we provide the multi-block provider. In that we provide the auth qubit and the credential qubit, user qubit, and get single user qubit. So we have these 4 qubits already in the context of every class down the tree. So there is no need of providing these qubits like the user qubit as we have provided in the main. So these are all in the widget tree on top. So these are in the context of all the pages down the tree. So in the search page, if we remove this user qubit, and also in the single user profile page, we also have to, or let's remove this single user qubit, and then now test this. So hot restart the application and open up your emulator, and in the search page it works the same. If I click A, and this is the same, you can see the users has gotten and the get method works. And also in the single user profile page, if I go to the single user profile, and you can see it's loaded and there is no exception in the terminal that is saying that the context do not have the single user qubit or the user qubit, just because we have provided while the app was starting initially. So we have provided these qubits in the main on the material app, so these will be available on each context in the class down the tree of the widget. So we don't have to provide them, we only have to provide the qubits which are required on the specific page. So that's why we are creating the main widget for each of the page in which we required any other qubit. So that was it for fixing this, and now let's go and implement the feature of the follow or unfollow. So for that, there will be only the requirement of creating only one method in the repository. So first we will go to the repository in the domain layer. There will be the need of only one method. So we are going to follow or unfollow the user. So we will clone this update user and will change its name to follow or unfollow user. Or let's remove this or from the middle, and this will be follow unfollow user, and that will be it. And copy this and paste it in the remote data source right after this update user, and then also go to the Firebase repository implementation and implement this in here, and select this, make it asynchronous, and arrow function, this will be remote data source dot follow or unfollow user. That's it. Now in the remote data source implementation, what we have to do in here, in the top, we will override this missing method, and then it's time to implement it. Make it asynchronous, and also delete this unimplemented error from here. So how our follow or unfollow scenario will be, if you look at in the model of the user, we already have created the followers and the following of the in the user model. So if someone follow us, his ID will be stored in the followers, and if we follow someone, his and the person we are following, his ID will be stored in the following, that the users we are following. And then we will load these users we are following and our followers on that IDs in the following followers page, which we are going to create in a while. And in the remote data source implementation, in the follow unfollow user method, what we will do in here, first we need, it's obvious, we need the user collection, and then there will be the requirement of 2 document reference. So let's do it, and this will be clear to you that why there is the need of 2 documents of the users. So let's do the final user collection, and this will be equals to Firebase firestore.collection Firebase const dot users, and that's it. Now here there is the need of 2 document reference of that collection. So first one will be final my document reference, like the current user, or we can name it my, so it will be more meaningful. And then we will do await user collection dot document on the user dot uid. It means the current user dot get. So we got my document reference, and there will be another document reference that will be other user document reference. This will be also await, and also let's copy this to make it more quick and save our time. So, and in here the ID will be other UID. If you remember from the video when we were creating the user entity, we have created the other user ID, and now it's time to use it. So using that other UID, we will pass the ID of the other user we are following, and then we will store that other user ID in our following list, and that will be it. Like if I follow him, his ID will be stored in my following list and my ID will be stored in his follower list. So that's how the scenario will be, and that's why we have the other UID, and we will pass it from the other users or the single user profile page. Like we have the other user ID in here, so we'll use that ID to follow or unfollow the user. So in the remote add source implementation, we pass this other UID, and this will come from the user entity when these methods implement. So this will become more clear to you that how it works, and I will explain it again, so it will become more clear to you. So we got the user collections, and we got my document reference. We also got the other user document reference. We got my document reference on my ID, which is UID, and we got the other user document reference on the other UID. And next we are going to check if the my document ref dot exist, and also with this other user document reference also exist. So if these both documents were exist and both condition were true, so what we will do, first we have to access to my list of following and then the list of the other users of the follower, because I am going to update my list of following when I follow the user, and I am going to update the followers list of other users when I follow him. So first here I will do list my following list will be equals to, and this will be come from my document reference dot get the field that will be following. So I got the field following from my document reference on my ID, and then there will be another list of other user followers list, and this will be equal to, this will come from other user document reference dot get the followers. That's it. And now here we will check. First we will do for, let's comment out here my following list. So first operations will be for my following list. So here we will check if my following list contains the user dot other UID. If my following list contains the other UID, so simply do update user collection the document on the user dot UID, like update my document on my ID dot update. This will be a simple field, and that field will be following, and this will be field value, as this is a list, field value dot array remove the user dot other UID from my list if it contains the other UID. In case if it do not contain, in the else condition, this will be its opposite. Copy this and paste it right here, and only change the method to array union. So what we are doing here, we access to the my following list, and we get the following from my document reference on that ID. You can see it in here, and also we get the other user followers list on that other user document reference, which which document we have gotten on the other user ID. So in here we are checking if my following list contain the other user ID, then remove it from here, and if it do not contain, simply add it. So that was it for my followers list, and next we will do for the other user following list. So now we will check if other user following list contains user.uid. Now we are checking for the other user. If the other user followers list contain my ID, so what we will do to update his followers list on the other UID, update his follower list and remove my UID from here. Otherwise, copy it and paste it right after this in the else condition. Paste this, update his follower list by adding my ID or the current user ID who is following the other user in the follower list of the other user. So let me again explain this method, that what we are doing in here. We existed user collection, we got two document reference of my and the other user, and this ID will be come from where I have explained already, and you will see it also when this method come in action and where we go for using it. And now we are checking if my document reference exists and also the other user document reference exists. We got my following list and the other user follower list on the different documents. You can see it in here. And now we are checking if my following list contains the other user ID, simply remove it from my following, and if it do not contain, add it. And in the other user following list, we are checking if the other user forward list contain my ID, update his document on this other user ID, his followers, and remove my ID from here. And then if it do not contain, simply add a union to edit. So that was it for the follow or unfollow user. So first time this method calls, it will check if it contains, remove it, otherwise add it, and the scenario will be same for these both conditions. So this will perform our action to add or remove the ID. And now one more thing in here we can do is to increment or decrement the total followers or total following of the users. So we already have this scenario implemented in here, or not in here, but that is in here. So we will copy this scenario from here and we will paste it right after this. So when this update method completes, we will do in the then method. So when this update completes, if it contains the other user ID, when this removes, so we will paste this scenario and change this comment collection to user collection, and the collection will be users, and the document will be, or the document ID will access from the user dot UID, just because we are updating the following. So it means we are updating our following, that when we are following other user, so we will update our document. So that will be on this UID to update our document, and remove this, put semicolon only in here, and we will going to update. We are checking if the value exists, mean the document snapshot exists. So we will select this total replies, and this total replies will not be the total replies in here, but in this case there will be the total following. So if it contains the other user ID, remove it and decrement the total following by 1, and that's it. Now copy this scenario from here and in the then method of the following. This is going to be, if it do not contain the ID, simply increment the total following of that user by 1. And also in the other user followers list, we will do the same. In the then method, we will do if the other user following list contain our ID, simply on the other user ID, update his document and decrement the total followers by 1, and also copy this scenario from here, and in the total followers and in the not in the total followers but in this method here, if it do not contain the ID, while adding the ID in the list of the followers of the other user, we will also increment the followers of that user on that other user ID like this. So what we have done in here, only implement the incrementation or decrementation in here. So that was it for this implementation of that method, and now let's go and create the use case for this. So the use case will be for this inside the user, so that will be follow unfollow user use case, and copy this create use case from here, paste it in here, change its name to follow unfollow use case, and that's it. Change the method name to follow unfollow user and pass the user entity. So that was it. Now in the Cubit of the user, we will copy this update method and paste it right here and change its name to follow unfollow user, and also here we will take the instance of follow unfollow user and pass it in the constructor and make it required. So that will be required this dot follow unfollow user, and also import it. So it's not importing, so we will copy its name directly from here and paste it in here. So this is follow unfollow use case, so also change its name in here and also in the constructor. And now it's time to import it, so it will be imported, and now copy it and pass it in this method. So this follow unfollow user method will call this follow unfollow use case to follow or unfollow the user. And now it's time to also inject it in the user Cubit. So here we have to do the follow unfollow use case SL call, and also we have to implement or inject the use case of follow unfollow, just because when we call the SL call it will start searching for this, and when it not finds, so it will throw the exception that if you accidentally forget this use case injecting in the injection container. So we will change this name to follow unfollow user follow unfollow use case. So that's it. So in the single user profile main widget, first we have to do in here, right after the bio, here we are going to have a button container widget, and then the text of this button will be follow, and also the color will be blue color, which we have in the constants, and the on tab listener will be for now empty, and there will be some size vertical about 10. Now Ctrl S to hot reload, open up the emulator, and there is some error in here, that is press F2 to look at this error, so we have to put comma in here. Now Ctrl S to hot reload, open up the emulator, and we got this follow button in here. So when we click this, it will follow this user, and its color and the text will be changed. So we have to check the conditions on that text and the color. So here we will check if the single user means that the other single user, if the single user dot followers dot contains the current user ID. So what we will do, we will display the unfollow, otherwise this will be displayed as a follow. So if my ID or the current authenticated user ID is already in the followers list of the other user, so we will display unfollow, otherwise follow, and the condition will be same for the color. We will copy this and paste it right here. So if it contains the current user ID, so we will display the secondary color dot with opacity 0.4, otherwise the color will be blue. And now when this taps on this button, we will call the BLoC provider dot of context, and we already have the user Cubit in the context. As I show you in the Flutter inspector, you can see we have root app, material BLoC provider, and we have auth Cubit, credential user, and get single user. And then down the tree in all the classes we have the auth Cubit, credential Cubit, user Cubit, and get single user in the context of these classes. So we don't have to worry about this to provide it. So we will do user Cubit, and then we will call the follow unfollow user, and here it requires the user entity. And now it's time to pass the user entity, and now it's time to pass the IDs. So the UID will be the current user ID, and the other UID will be this time the widget dot other user ID. So that's how this will works. So now it's time to hot restart the application to test this. So now open up your emulator and go for this user AAA, and we got this follow button here. For now its color is blue because the condition is not true in here. The followers of the other user do not contain the current UID, that's why its color is blue. And also the followers do not contain the current UID, that's why the text is follow instead of unfollow. So when we click this, so some weird thing happened. You can see first there comes our profile, and then it comes unfollow and one user. So when we go back, and that's it, go to the profile page, and what we got the other user data in the our profile page. Okay, so I got it. So now let me introduce you to the one of the major bug of our implementation, not only in the test apps, but this might happen to you in the real production apps and can become really big headache for you. So now you can see when I hot restart the application, everything will become fixed. When the application restarts and go to this profile page, and I got my profile back. So what had happened just few seconds before, when I followed this user and his followers incremented by 1 and the button comes this, now the followers of this user contain my ID, so that's good. But what happens with this, some weird things happen in here. My profile show up for some seconds and then disappear, and then also in my profile I got authenticated this user profile again, and you can see this is happening again just because I just go to this profile page and I come back. So his user profile is here, and when I again want to start application, then it will fix. So why this is happening? This is because there's the major bug, as I said. And now the reason behind this is we are not following the solid first principle, which is the single responsibility principle. Solid first principle, single responsibility principle said that a single class have only one responsibility. But what we are doing, when the user authenticates to the application for the very first time, we use the get single user Cubit. If you look at in the main screen in here, we use the get single user Cubit to load the current single user. And then what we are doing in the single user profile page, we are using the same class Cubit, and we are loading the other user using the same Cubit. So we are putting two different responsibilities on one Cubit to first load the current user and then load the other user in the single user profile page, which is violating the first principle of the solid principle, that is single responsibility principle. Only one class should have only one responsibility. So to overcome this, by following the single responsibility principle, we will create another qubit that will be get single other user qubit, and then we will use it in here. Every functionality will be the same and will work the same, but only the class will be different. To overcome this bug that you can see in my profile, that's his profile, just because as I go in here, so I got in the qubit, I got his ID, and when I come back, so in this get single user qubit, I got that ID. So when I got again to my profile page, and that qubit has still that ID, and that's why I got his data in my profile page. And now when I hot start the application, so everything will become the same which was before. So now to overcome this, as I said, first we have to go to the domain layer in the repository. The repository is located here, and what we will do in here, we have this get single user. So we will duplicate this and change its name to get single other user, and this will be other UID to make it more meaningful, and then copy it and paste it in the remote data source and simply paste it right here. And now in the Firebase repository implementation, we will implement this method, and that's it. Now remove its body from here and call the remote data source. Before this we have to put the arrow function, and then this will be remote data source dot get single other user. So that's it. Now in the remote data source implementation, go at the top and implement this. First override this and then hold Ctrl F to search for the get single user qubit, copy its data from here, and then go for the same method and paste it right here, and only change this to other UID, and then go and create its use case inside the use cases, Firebase use cases, and in the user use case we have to create one more use case, get single other user use case. That's it. And copy this get single user data from this use case, paste it in here, and change its name to get single other user use case, and only change the get single other user, and let's also change this name to other UID. That's it. Now in the presentation layer, first we have to create, in the user we will create another directory in the user directory, so that will be get single other user, and inside this create one more qubit, that will be qubit class. So use the equatable and then get single other user, hit OK and open this up, and now copy this and duplicate it 3 times, and then change its name to first loading, and then to loaded, and then failure. And in the loaded state, what we will do, final user entity other user, and pass it in the constructor. Now make it required, and also pass it here in the list for the value equality. Now in the get single other user qubit, we will take the instance of that use case, get single other user use case, and the name will be the same, and also import this and pass it in the constructor. Also make it required, this dot get single other user use case, and now in the get single user we will copy this method from here and paste it in here and change its name to get single other user, and the ID will be not the UID but the other UID, and also this will be get single other user loading, and select this failure. This will also be get single other user failure. Also import the .io for this and also change the use case for this, and then the only remaining thing is to change the name of get single other user loaded, and this accept the other user, and from the user get the user first. So we are good to go. We got the other Cubit for that, and now it's time to register it in the injection container. So first we have to register factory the get single user Cubit. So we have this get single user Cubit, so we will clone this or clone this, and then its name will be get single other user Cubit, and now import this, and this accept the use case of this, and now it's time to also inject this use case. This will be right after this, so change its name like this, get single other user use case, import it. So that was it for this Cubit, and now in the single user profile main widget, instead of using this get single user Cubit, we will now use get single other user Cubit, and this will also be get single other user stat. So import it, and this stat will also be get single other user loaded. So we will get the other user, and also get single user Cubit will be get single other user, and the method name will also be get single other user, and the ID will also be the other UID. So that was it. Now when we run this will throw the error, the context do not have the single other user Cubit. So that's also the user Cubit. So let's go to the main.dart and provide this Cubit also. Clone this and change its name to get single other user Cubit, and also import it. Now it's time to how to start the application, and again time to test this. Now again open up the emulator and go for this AAA, and now unfollow this, and you can see this unfollowed and the user becomes 0 and nothing happens. Let's go back and go to our profile page, and everything works good. So that was it for overcoming this bug, and you must follow the single responsibility principle in all your apps to overcome this error in the future, because this might cause so many big problems and you will be definitely unaware of it if you have not the knowledge of this single responsibility principle. So what we have done, we can follow other users like this, and that's it. We can unfollow it, and when I again follow, go back, and you can see my followers become 1, and then his followers becomes also the 1. So now it's time to load my followers and following in some separate page. So for that we have to do, we will create in the profile page, we will create 2 pages. That will be followers page, and then also the following page. That's it. Stateless widget for now, following page, and also import the Flutter material dart, and then there will be scaffold, and in the body we are going to have a column children, and then the background color will be the background color, and its app bar will be app bar class, and its title will be following, and then also its background color will be the same background color That's it. Now we will wrap this column with some padding, and this will be symmetric, horizontal 10 and vertical 10. After this following will be the page where we will load all the followers of the users, or also to see our followers we will navigate to the same page. So like in the profile page, when I click this and go to this will send me to the following page, and by passing my data, my following list, there will be loaded my followers from there. But when I navigate to this from my single user profile main widget or single profile page, like from the when I go to the home page and here, now when I navigate to this followers or following page, this will navigate me to the same page, but the only list of followers will be different, and there will be all the followers of that user instead of mine. So now we are going to do this in the following page. So in the following page, we want the first final user entity. This will be, let's say, user, just because we will come to this page or on also the current user and also the other user. So we are not going to pass the other user or the current user, but the only user will be more meaningful, just because we are doing it on different perspectives, two different perspectives, and pass it in the constructor. So that was it. Now in the column there will be expanded and child. There will be list view dot builder, and this will be context and index, and then this will going to return our single following user. So we will do row children, and this is going to be like we have in the search page. So we will go to the search main widget, and here we have this data of row. So we will copy this row from here and go to our following page, paste it right here on that previous edit row, and then the profile widget, delete everything from here, but the data will comes in a while. So this will be empty for now, and also the username will be simply dummy username, and put semicolon here, and that's it. So now Ctrl S to hot reload, and also not forget to pass the item count, for now 10. And now let's navigate to this following page to test it out. So in the profile page, in the profile main widget, we have in here. So we will navigate to this following page by clicking this column of following. So we will wrap this with the widget, and this will be gesture detector, and when this taps, so we will go to navigator dot push named, and the route name will be page const dot following page, and the arguments will be simply the current user. We will pass it just because we are navigating from profile page, so we will pass the current user. So when we go to the profile page, this will track our following list and show our followings on the list on the IDs we have in our following. So from here we will pass our current user, and while navigating from the single user profile main widget, we will pass the other user. So let's pass widget dot current user. That's it. Now let's go and create the following and followers page in the page constants. So duplicate this 2 times. This will be following page, and this will be followers page. That's it. Now go to the onGenerated route, and there will be, let's duplicate this single user profile page 2 times. First let's do it 1 time like this, and then change this name to following page, and then this is going to return the following page. import it, and these arguments will be user entity, and this is going to be user and the arguments, and that's it. Now in the profile main widget, it fixed. Now put the semicolon here. That was it, I think. Now again, how to start the application to test it out. So after the application restarts, open up your emulator and go to the profile page, and we have this followers. When you click this navigate us to this page, so our followers will look something like this. So we can go back from here and there will be our followers. So there will comes their profile and their username. So in the following page, what we will do in here, we got the current user data in here. So there in the item count will be comes from user dot following dot length, like how many followers we have in the following, that will be according to that length. So when I press Ctrl S, so it will become only one, just because we have only one follower right now and there is no data for it. So we are going to load its data also. So we will wrap this row with the stream builder, and the stream builder generic type will be list of user entity, and from the stream we will call the get single user to get the profile for every single user on the ID in the following list. So in here we will import the injection container as di. So we are going to call the get single user, so we will do di.sl and then get single user, not the Cubit but the use case. From the use case we will first do dot call and then the UID. So the ID will come from user dot following on index. So that's it. Also put the assertion operator here because that's the nullable. So for each of the user in our following list, we take it on the index here. Now we will check the condition if the snapshot dot has data equal to false. So we will return the circular progress indicator, and also if we will check if the snapshot dot data is empty, so we will return the container, and also put the assertion operator in here. The empty means in case if the user is not in the database. So here after this we will do final single user data equal to snapshot dot data dot first. So we got the single user data on each index in the following list. So now we will access his data like this, like the profile image URL will be single user data dot profile URL, and the username will also be accessed like this, the single user data dot username. And that was it. Now Ctrl S to hot reload and open up your emulator, and you can see I followed this user. So in my following, here comes his name and here comes his image. So that was it for the following now. So now let's implement the following, and this will be really straightforward as we had for the following page. So now let's copy this data from here and paste it in the follower page. So now we will change this page name to followers page, and everything will remain the same except this will be followers, and also we are going to get the item count from the followers, and also this will be comes from the followers. And I think that was it for the changes. Now in the onGenerate route we will copy this and paste it right here and change its name to followers page, and we will navigate to the followers page and also import this page. Now in the profile main widget, we will copy this navigator push and also wrap this column of followers with the widget. This will be just detector, and when this taps, so we will navigate user to the followers page with the argument of the current user entity. And also in the single user profile main widget, we have the followers and following, so we will do the same for them also. So let's wrap this with the widget and gesture detector, and when this taps, we will do the same navigator push, but this time the argument will be the other user. So here we will pass the single user, means the other single user which we have get on the ID. Now copy this and wrap this following column with the widget, gesture detector, and when this taps, we will do the same. And only for the followers, this will be followers page, and for the following, this will be following page. And let's also confirm it in the profile main widget. On the followers, we are going to followers, and in the following, we are going to following. That's it. And now how to start the application to see the changes and test our changes we have made in our application. Now open up your emulator and go to your profile page, go to the followers page, and there is nothing for now. And go to the following, and we got this user in here. And let's go to the home page and go to this user profile page, and when you click this followers, you can see I am the follower of one of the follower of this user, and his following is empty. So also done some work for this empty in the followers page. Here we will check the condition. If the user dot followers dot is empty, if the followers is empty, follower list was empty, so what we will show, no followers yet widget, and copy this name. This is going to be a method right here, and implement this so that will not be widget but the widget. So fix it, and this is going to return center child some text, and this text will be no followers, or let's remove this yet from here. We will only say no followers widget, and put semicolon here, and also some styleless text. This will be style text style colors white, and font size will be 18, font weight will be font weight W600. That was it. Now Ctrl S to hot reload, open your emulator and go to the followers, and nothing happens. That is because if we check, we are checking if user followers is empty, simply show this, otherwise this row, but it's nothing is happening. That is because we have to cut this from here and check this condition on the list view. Now Ctrl S to hot reload. Okay, we have to copy this with this and paste it with this list view. Now when we Ctrl S and open up and go to the followers, it says not followers, so it was not showing. That's because even the list view builder was not loading, so it's obvious if the list view builder is not building. So how we can or check if the followers is empty or not? So we have to check this is followers empty on the list view. If it's empty, so it will not even build the list view, and simply return no followers widget. Otherwise this will say, or this will load the followers in the list. So that was it. Now we will go for the following page, and also here we will do if the user dot following dot is empty. So what we will do, we will copy the same widget in the followers page and paste it in here. And now here we will say no following, that's it. And here we will paste, if it's empty we will show this, otherwise the list view. Now Ctrl S to hot reload, open up the emulator, go back. So we have the follower, so we got the follower in here. But in case if we go to the user profile page and in the following, so it says no following in here. So that was it. Now one more thing is here. When we click this user profile, we want to navigate to the single user profile page. So it's really simple. We have to wrap this row with the widget. This will be just detector, and when this on tabs we will do open this body, and what we have in the single postcard widget, we will copy this navigator push to go to the single user profile page, and in the followers page, not in the followers but the following, we will paste it in here. And our creator UID will be in here, the ID of that single user which we are getting. So this will be the UID of that user. And also in the case of following, we will do, in the case of followers we will do the same, and we will wrap this row with the widget gesture detector. And when we tap this, so we will send user to the same page, and that's it on the user ID. So Ctrl S to hot reload. Now open this up, go back and come in here. When we click this, we come to this profile page, and you can see everything is the same as we had for that user. So that was it. Now go again in here and check this user, that's it. Now one thing, if you notice in here, when you go to single profile page, we are also seeing this to edit profile and logout. So we also have to fix this in the single user profile main widget. What we will do, in the app bar we have this menu icon. So this menu icon will only be visible if the same condition we have checked for. Or let's do it directly like this. If we will check if the current UID was equal to single user dot UID, so only we will show this, otherwise we will show a simple empty container in here. So when I press Ctrl S in here, open up, so this disappeared just because there's not my profile, so I cannot do anything in here. And also you can notice one more bug in here. When I go to my profile, so there is also the button of follow, so I cannot follow myself. So we will copy this from here, and we will check the condition for also the button of the follow. So here we will do, if the current UID was equal to the single user ID, so we will display the container, otherwise the button. Now press Ctrl S, open up the emulator, so this disappeared just because that's my profile. When I go to this user profile, so you can see we got this button here. So now when I unfollow this user and check his followers, it says no followers and no following. And also in case if we check our profile, we have no followers, no following, and we have to post. And that was it for our Instagram app. We have completely successful with all the features of the app. So in the home page we got all the users. We can like the post, unlike the post, we can interact with the post. This is where to update or delete the post. We can comment the post and reply the post. We can like and comment also on the reply. We can go to the user profile page, we can follow the user and check the followers and following of the user. And again from here we can also go to this post detail page, and also we can upload the post and we can check our following and followers. And that was all the features of that post. We also authenticate the user and we fix so many bugs in here. And I hope you learned so many things from this complete course of Instagram app. So this is the last video of this Instagram. So one more thing in here we can do is to just minimize this and go to this menu, and we have this Instagram app in here. So we also can change this icon of this app. So to change this, there will be the need of to add one dependency in our pubspec.yaml file. So check our pubspec.yaml file. Do we have already this dependency? So we got Flutter BLoC, equatable, Cloud Firestore, Firebase storage, and all of these, but we don't have this dependency. So we will add this dependency. That dependency is just move to the browser and search in here the Flutter icon launcher, and then go to this Flutter icon launcher and copy this Flutter icon launcher latest version and paste it in here. That's it. Or we don't have to add this Flutter icon launchers in the dependencies, but we have to add it in the dev dependencies. So after this, one more thing here we have to do is we are going to have this Flutter icons in place. So the Android will be icon launcher, the iOS will be true for this, and the image path. So first we must have the Instagram icon to put the icon in here. So let's go and add the assets in the image in the assets. So paste this Instagram in here, and we got the Instagram PNG in here. So now go, there is an error, asset resources. So let's delete this from here and get the dependencies and wait a bit for this. And when this pub gets completes, so one thing you have to do to put the path of the image in here, that will be in the assets instagram.png, and let's confirm the name. We have instagram.png, and then we have to run one command in the terminal. So that command will be flutter pub run flutter launcher icons. So hit enter, and this will take a while. And it says successfully generated launcher icons. So now stop your main.dart and then run your main.dart again. So when your application installs again in the device, and open up the emulator and go minimize, and you can see we got the Instagram icon in here, and that's what we wanted. So what we are done, I already explained. We have done so many things in here. We are getting the post in here, following followers like this, and we can also go to the user profile from here, and that was it. And we are done with so many things in the Instagram. So I hope this course was helpful and you have learned many things from this. And if you have any queries and questions, so please ask me in the comment section, and also you can ask me in the Instagram, and you can take the link of my Instagram in the video description. So that was it for also this last video of this Instagram, and hope this video was helpful. If so, show some love in the comment section, and also let me know if something is not clear to you. So for now, goodbye, and I will see you in the next upcoming amazing course.